Where you at, Santo? Sway.
Oh, you guys are here, and you're not late. Hey, how are y'all? Y'all been good? Yeah, my voice. I know my voice probably sounds like crap, but we don't speak on that. Okay, what matters is that y'all are here, because today we got another Fright Friday. So let's get into it. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Santo back again with another video, and today we're back with another episode of my new thing that I'm doing, Fright Fridays. And these videos that we're gonna be watching are all, I almost said submitted. No, nobody submits to me. All these videos that we're gonna be watching are all created by Llama Arts. I love Llama Arts. I think, in my opinion, they are the best horror storytellers of all time. And they're the only people that I actually listen to that actually have good stories. So yeah. We're gonna get into it. I don't want to talk too much. I actually made a playlist last night of all the ones we're gonna. You know what? I'm not even gonna do it. I made a whole playlist of all the ones we're gonna be watching, just in case I forgot. So they were randomly picked, by the way, and sorry about my voice. I was playing football outside with my friends, and I swallowed a piece of pollen, and it's really, like, it's aggravating me a lot. It's messing with my throat. I keep coughing a lot. My voice is changing. It's getting annoying. So, I have to keep clearing my voice. As a matter of fact, let me go and get some water. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back, and I got my water. So let's get into it. Y'all ready for this? I'm ready for this. Let's go. Sorry, I forgot to start off with the title. A terrifying morning jog story. This story is told from a perspective of a woman. Okay. I'm gonna sit this over here.
Before heading to my local community college for classes, I like to wake up at around 5 in the morning for a brisk morning jog. It helps clear my head and definitely helps wake me up so I can focus in class. When I first started doing this, it was a huge hassle, but over time I grew accustomed to it, and it's now a highlight of my day. However, as time went on, I found myself becoming quite uncomfortable. Not in a physical sense, but more so it was like my fight or flight instincts began kicking in seemingly at random. I'd whip my head around to see if anybody was following me or even peeking at me through the wooded park in which I ran, but couldn't see anybody. It didn't help that it was dark either, so even if there was somebody creeping in the dark, there was no way I could tell. As an extra precaution, I started carrying around some pepper spray in order to fend off any would-be attackers. But as time went on and that eerie sensation occurred more and more, I just couldn't bring myself to run anymore. A friend of mine, Daniel, a self-proclaimed runner himself, told me that I shouldn't worry about it. He said that the mind plays tricks on oneself when it can't see things clearly, especially in the dark. After being reassured by him, I decided to give jogging another go. So today, like any other day, I slapped on some black leggings, tied my hair up in a ponytail, put on my kicks, and set my music volume to full blast and headed out the door. I felt fantastic at first and was loving the cool breeze and crisp morning air. But then, about halfway into my jog, a tall and hooded figure stepped out onto the path in front of me.
Bro, she was ready to pull out that pepper spray, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Quickly, I pulled out my pepper spray and yelled at the person to leave me alone. The person quickly pulled down their hood, revealing themselves to be Daniel. I sighed with relief as he approached and laughed at how funny it was that we ran the same path. I expressed to him that I felt safer knowing he was around. Daniel, however, stepped a little too close and gave a crooked smile. He said that of course I was safe with him, as
Back up, bro. Move.
apparently I had been safe with him for weeks. The realization of what he meant quickly dawned on me as his hands began to creep their way around my waist. I
Hey!
screamed at him to let me go and prepared to spray him, but he slapped it out of my hand and proceeded to grab my throat. With strained screams, I begged him to let me go and for someone to help me. He yelled at me and tightened his grip, asking why I wasn't thankful for his watchful eyes for the past several weeks. I was stunned at the complete personality change from the once gentle friend I knew. Pretty soon, I started to black out and grow weak, but just before passing out, I could hear the sounds of dogs barking and an older man screaming for Daniel to let me go. In a panic, he released me and ran back into the woods. I gasped for air before I began sobbing as the man escorted me out of the park and brought me straight to the police station. And despite my fears and reservations, I told them everything I knew about Daniel, or what I thought I knew, and what he had done to me. They immediately sent a patrol car out and told me that everything would be okay. The next day, I heard Daniel never showed up to class. He had been arrested several hours later after I left the police station and confessed to everything with a disgusting amount of self-righteousness. He was recorded as saying, "She needed me, only I can protect her. Who knows what could have been hiding in those woods?" It took me a while to feel comfortable going back to school, and even then my trust in people was never the same again. I guess even the ones you were close to can snap, just like that, at any time.
Bro, it's like that saying. It be your own peoples. Alright, so this next one we got excuse me. This next one we got is School Lockdown Story Animated.
It was a typical boring day in calculus, only
What is up with this quality? Hold up. Yeah, hit that 1080p. It still doesn't look right.
it was Friday, 7th
I think that might just be how it looks.
period, meaning the week was almost over and spring break would finally be upon us, so everybody was getting antsy in their seats, I could tell. We didn't have a test that day like a lot of my friends did with their other teachers, so
You good, bro? You look like you just saw the most disgusting thing ever.
our teacher in the middle of class just decided to start playing games with us on Sporkle.com. He was a very laid-back teacher like that. As we were doing some brand logo quiz on Sporkle, I remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend answered a question, I remember the exact answer too, Adidas. The dean's voice came through the loudspeaker. He sounded panicked and frantic as he told all the teachers this was not a drill and to go into lockdown. I actually got the chills, and I got goosebumps on my arms as our usually laid-back teacher too seemed panicked as he ran to turn off the lights and ushered us to the back corner of the room. We all sat in silence for about 2 minutes, and then the usual buzzing that came from a panel in the back of the room ceased.
Listen, I know I'm pausing it a lot, but in my school, I know school's about to be over, but if it was still in, bro, we'd all be dead. You wanna know why? Because they can't keep their mouth shut.
Indicating that the school must have cut all the power. We all looked at each other, realizing this must be serious. A few more minutes of waiting later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs coming down the hallway. 2 girls in the class actually started crying, which made all of us even more scared. As the screaming got closer to the classroom, the lunatic-sounding man started banging on the lockers while screaming, "I'll kill all of you." It was at that moment that I started to fear for my life. My teacher shushed us as we all looked at each other to see our peers' reactions. The banging then moved from the lockers to our classroom door, and that's when one of the crying girls screamed no.
Bro.
The banging on the door only
Shut
grew
up.
worse as the man started screaming, "Open up." Two of the girls in the class were crying out loud now.
Bro, I would have been like, man, shut your mouth.
It felt like an eternity that man was pounding at the door, but eventually, he finally continued down the hallway, screaming like a
Are you sure that this man is... Are you sure that that's actually him? Because it sounds like it's somebody being tortured.
mentally insane person until we could not hear him anymore. I'd say 10 minutes later, though it felt like half an hour given the situation, the dean came back on the loudspeaker explaining the situation, which was surprising for him to do. He explained that some apparently mentally unstable person entered the building and assaulted the woman sitting at the front desk, causing her to flee the building screaming, and staff wasn't sure if the man was armed or not. Now, this was before the school had cameras or could afford proper security, so the school was wide open to something like this happening. The staff had done a sweep of all the hallways and classrooms and couldn't find him, so the dean instructed the teachers to resume teaching but to keep all the doors locked and to not let any students leave for any reasons. The most disturbing part, however, is that one of the janitors working the night shift found the man sleeping in one of the storage closets near the back end of the school, and according to rumors that were spread by my peers, sticking out of his pocket was a .44 Magnum. The janitor must have done something stupid to wake him up, for example, leaving the closet door open, because by the time a police officer could arrive on the scene, the man was gone. My entire class, as far as I know, to this day, has no idea if this man was ever found, but I like to think that right now, he's being given the proper help that he needs.
We got scary field trip horror stories. Horror story animated. Oh, never mind. It was just the font.
Back in high school, I took a mysteries and mythology type class, or
Is that
something
frog
like
okay?
that. I don't remember the name of the class. It basically just had to do with real life mysteries and creepy shit. I was into that kind of stuff. I was taking the class with a good friend, who I'll call Ben for this story. The teacher of the class took us on a field trip to a nearby abandoned village with an unknown past. The village was built in the early 1900s, but seems as though it had been quickly abandoned shortly after it was built. The bus ride there was about 20 minutes. All of us were glued to the bus windows as we pulled up some sketchy-looking, decrepit road cutting through dense forest.
Look at this dude's face, bro. Why he look like that one dude from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? The big fat one, that one.
The road eventually led to a clearing. We were there. We stepped out onto the road, which had grass growing through the cracks. The grass surrounding was almost knee-high. Then there were the buildings. The tall, archaic brick buildings with the boarded-up windows all gave off such chilling vibes. The teacher lined all 20 of us up, counted heads, and then began leading the way. The point of this little field trip was to use the so-called skills we learned in class to see if we could put anything together about why the village may have been abandoned so long ago. Some of the buildings had holes in the walls to serve as entryways. There were even holes in the ground next to some of the buildings, seemingly dug to get into the basements of some of the buildings, which seemed creepy. There was one building though. It stood taller than any of the others. It just intrigued me the most. While the teacher was leading the group towards the village church, Ben and I decided to sneak off on our own to look for anything interesting. When we walked off in the direction of the tallest building, we saw a hole in the ground. It was dug by the back door of the building, which had been sealed off. In the hole was a ladder which led down to the concrete floor below. We both looked at each other and knew we had to do it. Ben climbed down first, then me. Luckily, this was just around the time Apple started putting flashlights on their phones, so we had a source of light. It was creepy down there. There were a couple of beer bottles, one graffiti tag on the wall, and dusty wooden planks everywhere. There was a wooden stairway which led up to complete darkness, since all windows and doors had been sealed shut from above. We had already gone as far as to enter the building, so we figured we'd go up the stairs too. I went first, and with each step, the creakiness of the 100-year-old wood made me feel as if I was going to fall through each and every step. Ben followed suit. This floor of the building was very tight. It seemed like there were many openings going off into different, smaller rooms. It was so dark in there you would never even guess it was daytime. Ben and I were honestly starting to get creeped out in there and agreed to go back outside. But just then, there was a noise in one of the tiny rooms, like a big rock hitting the concrete floor. A normal instinct would be to run, but Ben and I froze, locked eyes for a moment, then both tiptoed over to the opening of the room.
Why? What? Why would you go and bro? Why would you go and investigate? You know what? It's their skin color. That's what it, bro. The skin to win. I'm telling you, bro. This is the black, bro. I wouldn't even be in that situation. Black people, no black person would even be in that situation. Oh, you want to go into this little tunnel down here? Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'll watch y'all go. I'll for sure watch y'all, but I'm not going. I'm not going in there.
We shined the lights into the room and ran. We ran back down the stairs and then up the rusty ladder back outside. We caught up to the group out of breath. We didn't say anything though to avoid getting in trouble. One of our classmates asked us what was wrong. We told him we snuck into one of the buildings, and in one of the rooms, when we shined the light into it, we saw 3 guys standing maybe 10 feet away from the doorway, facing Ben and I in a weird formation, as if they were waiting for us. As we continued following the group, we paid extra attention to the tall building we entered from the distance, and before leaving, we saw a person's face at one of the higher level windows that had not been boarded up. We never told the teacher in fear of getting in trouble. We didn't know what to think. Were those just homeless people living in there? Were they gang members in hiding? Ben freaks me out with his theory. He says they were ghosts of the people who once lived in the town. Still, the way the 3 guys were just hauntingly standing there so calmly, staring at us the moment we peeked our heads through that doorway, I still can't get that image out of my head.
I feel like those are
I
gang
may go
members.
back to that village one day, just to prove Ben's idea wrong.
You did what?
I may go back to that village one. I still
sorry.
can't get that image out of
I'm sorry. I must not have heard you correctly.
my head. I may go back to that village one day, just to prove Ben's idea wrong.
Why? I mean, you explained why, but I don't... That was good, bro. That was a good one. I'm not gonna hold you. That was a good one. All right, we got a College Horror Story 2 animated.
Back when I was in college, me and my best friend Miko heard a rumor that our dormitory
Is this that same dude from the I watched Corey Kenshin. He looks like the same dude from from that one Spooky Scary Sunday from Snapchat.
was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical. I could see why the
Is he okay over here? Hold on. Bro, this dude is out.
didn't
Look
encounter
at him.
anything in the 2 years of staying
26 straight. Oh.
there, so I was skeptical. I could see why the rumor started. Our dorm was kind of creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed
Wait, what was true? I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention at all. I was talking too much.
heard a rumor that our dormitory was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical. I could see
she
why the
walking
rumor
so fast?
started. Our dorm was kind of creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed a hot cup of coffee in the sink and said, "If this cup magically empties itself by the time we get back from school, I'll believe you." "Deal. Want to bet on it?" "Come on, you won't bet on it because you know you'll lose." When I arrived home, I noticed Miko was asleep. It seemed quite weird as he would normally be playing games or cooking in the kitchen.
Whoa, whoa, what the freak was that?
It seemed quite weird as he would normally
Look at, bro, I'm over here watching him. Look at him. Look at his
be
eyes.
playing games or cooking.
There's no freaking, bro, there's no pupils. It's just, yo, that just gave me chills, bro. That just gave me chills, bro. What the heck?
In the kitchen.
That's not
I
Miko.
put my bag on the table and noticed the cup in the sink. I knew it, I said to myself.
That's not Miko.
I started to pour the coffee away when my phone vibrated. "Why are you calling me?" I thought perhaps he left
I knew it. I knew
his
it.
phone at school. I answered. "Hello?" "Hey, just eat without me tonight if you're hungry. I'm still at the store getting food supplies for next week. I grabbed some coffee. I noticed we're almost out. Oh, and I tried looking for that green sauce you put in your homemade burgers. No luck, though." "But, wait, another checkout just opened. I'll cook tonight. I shouldn't be too long. See ya."
That was not Miko.
I was confused. I darted around the room as I tried to gather my thoughts. That's when I realized something.
Oh!
I was too freaked out at this point. No. "Hey, I hope you're hungry." Oh.
No. Ew! Look at him. Wait, is it just credits or oh, okay, it's probably a sponsor. All right, we got a bus stop horror story animated.
This happened when I was 17 years old. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and ride the bus home. It was a Sunday and I had just missed my bus, so I had to wait longer for another one. I would have called my parents, but they were out for the evening, and taxis charged more, so I decided to sit and wait in the bus shelter. It was a cold night and snow had just started peppering the ground. My bus was taking longer than usual, so I got my phone out and listened to some music. Almost an hour had passed. It was freezing and I hadn't seen anyone at all. That was until I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. It was a creepy guy dressed in thick layers of clothing, walking slowly towards me.
Ew!
I knew staring at him would draw more attention, so I just focused on my phone. He sat down at the other end of the shelter and just stared at me.
Ugh! Bro, look at his face. He like, hey, bro, you got some Skittles? Cause from how you looking, I'm really trying to taste the rainbow.
He seemed like he was either drunk or on drugs. He then asked,
"When is the bus due?"
I took out my earphones and said, "I think it's delayed because of the snow." He stared at me for a while, then started mumbling to himself. He was really starting to creep me out, so I pretended to be on my phone. After a couple of minutes, I took another look. He'd moved closer to me.
Whoa! No, we fighting. We fighting. Bro, we fighting. We are fighting. You look like you about, what, in your middle ages, maybe? Yeah. I most definitely have the strength to put you to sleep if I need to. Back up before you catch these hands.
I looked away for a second, then heard the sound of him sliding even closer.
Yo!
I turned to him and said,
"You okay there?"
He stared at me with glossy eyes, lifted his arm and leaned towards me. Immediately, I grabbed my bag and ran as he fell to the ground. I ran down the road trying my hardest not to look back. I kept going until I got to the next bus stop.
Nah, that phone would have been my next weapon, bro. If If I can't fight, I'm slapping you with my phone as hard as I can.
I turned around to check to see if he was there. He was gone, so I went to sit down. Feeling relieved, I rested my head on the back of the glass and waited for the bus.
Did you fall asleep?
I jolted and
I
turned
know you
around
did
to see
not
the
just fall
same
asleep.
guy staring at me through the glass.
Bro, I seen these two big juicy booty girls down the street. If you just come with me, we can go and get them. Trust me, please.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Then he started walking around the shelter towards me.
I'm warning you, stay back.
I yelled in panic as I was backing up. I wanted to run, but I left my bag in the shelter and I couldn't leave without it. Suddenly, the man leaped at me and I quickly moved out of the way.
Oh,
He fell to the ground face first. I froze in shock, then noticed the blood coming from his face. I tried to get a response out of him, but nothing worked. I called the police and paramedics and they arrived shortly after. I told them what had happened and they told me that the guy was on prescription drugs. They found a photo in his wallet of him and his son. The boy looked just like me, so we assumed he thought I was him. I later learned that he had lost his son in a custody battle and went off the rails.
oh.
He was taken away for treatment. That was the last I saw of him. I got my driver's license shortly after, and have never been on a bus since.
Did y'all see him? Look. Yo, he's right here.
Bus since.
Ew. Nah, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. Did y'all see how that dude was peeking through the trees, bro? I'ma get them cheeks, bro, if it's the last thing I do. Alright, so Fright Friday is unfortunately coming to an end, and our last one for today is Hide and Seek Story. Let's get into it. I just want to let y'all know, every Fright Friday, I'm probably not gonna always do llama arts. It's for sure gonna be a llama arts thrown in the video. It's just not gonna be a full llama arts video like this one is. Not always. Just want to let y'all know that. Now this one longer than the other ones, 6 minutes.
When I was a kid, my parents would sometimes bring me down to my aunt and uncle's place to stay for the weekend. Mainly, I'd spend time playing with my two cousins who were around the same age as me. They lived on a small farm with plenty of open space, and we could run around doing pretty much whatever we wanted. If we thought we could get away with it, the three of us would sometimes cross over to the neighboring farm about half a mile away. It had been abandoned for decades, with a scattering of derelict buildings and other structures still standing on the property, just begging to be explored. This was of course a gold mine for three adventurous young boys such as ourselves, especially after my cousins told me stories about the deaths that took place in the house. It was pretty classic fare. Man goes crazy, axe murders his entire family, hangs himself, returns every night as an angry spirit looking for new victims. Good, grisly stuff. Even at that age, I knew they were probably making it up, or at least embellishing old rumors. But seeing as how the setting lent itself so well to such tales, I allowed myself to buy into it. One afternoon, we decided to play hide and seek. When it was my turn to hide, I ran off for a flimsy brown barn that had living quarters on top, and climbed the stairs looking for a good spot. There was still furniture inside, and personal belongings lay scattered across the floor. I maneuvered over broken dishes, tattered clothes, and crumbling books, eventually coming to a small room with a closet. Jackpot. There were even long black dresses still hanging on the rod that I could hide behind.
Oh.
I stepped inside and managed to force shut the folding door. My only illumination was a slit of sunlight that shone through the crack in the door from a nearby window. I crouched down with knees tucked into chest and waited. Some time passed and there was still no sign of my seekers. I waited some more, debating if and when I should give myself up. After nearly an hour, this was starting to get boring. My head drooped.
Oh! I know you did not. I know you didn't just fall asleep in this abandoned barn. Bro, How do you fall asleep in an? Bro. I would have gave up after like what 15 minutes of them not finding me. I would have been like, all right, I'm done. Hey, I'm here, bro. Nah. That just made me so mad. How do you fall asleep in this abandoned place?
I awoke with a jerk. It was pitch black. Drowsy and confused, I forgot for a minute where I was or what I had been doing. As it came back to me, the realization that it was now nighttime and that I had been abandoned here filled me with sinking dread in the pit of my stomach. I tried to get up, but a sudden cramp in my calf kept me grounded.
Oh boy. I hate that. I hate getting a Charlie horse. I hate getting a Charlie horse in my cramp. I said in my calf. I hate that so much.
I squirmed about, waiting for it to pass, when I heard a door slamming shut downstairs.
Ah! What the heck is that? What the? It says toys. Is this a toy? That thing looks terrifying.
Froze. One of my cousins?
Another thing that scared me, it was that sound effect from the door.
Instantly froze.
It was this.
When I heard a door slamming shut downstairs.
That's what scared me.
Instantly froze. One of my cousins? There was a brief period of silence, then footsteps at the bottom of the stairs. But not just footsteps, a thud too. After every other step. These weren't the footfalls of a child. They were slow, heavy, deliberate. I held my breath, praying they would go away. They did not. The noises continued to ascend. After another moment of silence, the walking resumed, this time along with a steady scraping sound, like something heavy being dragged across the floorboards. The footsteps made their way through the debris and wandered aimlessly through the various rooms.
It's a murderer?
I thought I could smell something faintly putrid.
They killed somebody. And this is their hiding spot for the bodies. Oh.
Constant scrape sent cold shivers coursing down my arms and back. My worst fears were realized when the steps reached the bedroom doorway. They got closer and closer and finally stopped directly in front of the closet door. I couldn't see a thing. After an agonizing pause, they continued on over to the other side of the room and out the doorway again. They faded away down the hallway. I waited for what seemed like an eternity. There were no more sounds now, and I was trying to build up enough courage to open the door and flee. 3 things happened simultaneously just then. I was bombarded with a smell I can only describe as fresh roadkill.
Ugh.
I heard raspy breathing behind me in the dark closet, and I felt hot breath against the nape of my neck.
Get up! Get up!
That was enough for me to hurtle myself out from the confines of that nightmare space, relying on memory and scant moonlight to navigate through the darkened house. All the while, I heard footsteps chasing behind me, closing in with terrifying speed. It was a clumsy, torturous escape full of trips and bumps and blind stumbling. I never looked back, at least not until I had burst out the front door and into the country night. And when I did turn around, I saw absolutely nothing.
Okay, keep running.
There were no more footsteps and nobody was chasing me.
Go.
That didn't stop me from running though, all the way back to my aunt and uncle's house. There was a police car in the driveway when I got back. My parents were there too, worried sick. Everybody demanded to know where I had been. Apparently, when my cousins still hadn't found me by evening, they'd returned home to tell their parents. Eventually, the police were called in and informed me that they had already scoured every building on the farm. The insinuation that I was lying about my whereabouts didn't go unnoticed. None of it made any sense. It wasn't until years later that one of my cousins filled in a final piece of the story. He and his brothers had spent hours.
Why did it take you years later to tell me this?
Searching for me like they said, but the part they didn't tell anyone was that they thought they spotted me in the window of the bedroom I was hiding in. And when they got closer, they saw that it wasn't me. A young boy neither of them recognized was smiling and waving down at them and
Ugh.
gesturing for them to come upstairs.
Ew.
That's when they ran back home. All of this while I slept in the closet.
Yo. These stories was too good, bro. These stories were way too good. Hey, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.